Hi, Patrick. First, I want to say thanks so much for completing the question that I asked the class, why you stayed in the class to complete it. Really appreciate your thoughts on that. I wanted to give you some feedback on your final exam for English 105. First thing that I noticed is just some technical things. You do want to make sure that you are underlining the first letter of all the main words within your title. So you can skip small words such as prepositions here, such as to, or a, and the, which are the article words, but all the other ones should be capitalized so that the reader knows that this is your title. Second is my comment over here. I thought that this first opening sentence was really strong as a great example of a compound complex sentence, but because it does use subordination right here, and as I have recently discovered, you do need to have a comma there because this part of the sentence is actually the complete thought, the independent clause. The rest of it is all dependent upon this part. They are rewarding subjects, period. The second comment that I had is that this last sentence is a good assertive statement as a portion of a thesis, but it's not quite all the way a thesis. It seems to be lacking the qualifier. So it seems to be leading us to ask the question because, and then filling in the rest. Now, when we get to the end of the essay, I'm going to point you toward a sentence that I think would have worked much stronger as a thesis statement. So your first body paragraph is rather brief, and it does rely on some very casual language, which I noted here, and you know that we're trying to move you away from casual language, get you to using more professional language. And this is a great question to insert into a paragraph because it is challenging the assertions of McWhorter. However, we do need to address those questions that you've just raised. And it seems to me like you're leaving out that big address right here, so you could fill that in. The next paragraph jumps to the other essay that you read, and in that one I feel like we're missing a good strong transition to show the reader how you go from this idea into the next essay. So remember, it's important to always include strong transitions to show the reader how our mind is connecting the ideas together. In down here, you say that you strongly agree with Nussbaum's claim, but then again, you don't give any rationale as to why you agree with it. I think that here's a great place to use some good examples and illustrations, perhaps from your own experience or your own observations, because you've had a lot of great experience in the working world. All right, then we move on to a really meaty paragraph. I like that it's better developed. Just to remind you, people are who, they're not that. And this is something that we've been working on all semester. That's the one lesson you're going to take away from me is people are who. Leading into this last sentence, I found this last sentence a little bit of a struggle as I read it. I had to read it through several times. You use the wrong form of course here. This means rough, and what you mean is course with a U. Of course, this is a scenario based on a possible future. So would it be wiser to not cut humanities and then it won't be an issue? So this leads the reader to several questions. We don't know what the antecedent is for it. And it's really important if you're using a pronoun to explain to the reader what you're referring to. I also felt like this could be a stronger sentence if we used parallel structure here. So that's something that we discussed in class. You probably still have your good notes from that. The next paragraph about China and Singapore brings up some really good ideas. However, it's also a really great idea to add in what added information you have about China and Singapore and their culture and their attitude toward business and what our understanding is. I mean, we all have an opinion about these two countries. We've talked about them in class, so this would be a great idea rather than just pulling from what the authors have to say to add in your own thoughts. Remember, you are the one who's driving this essay, so I really want to hear Patrick's voice here. You finish with a very short closing paragraph, and you know that I'm not a big fan of short paragraphs to end off an essay. It's kind of that Starlight Mint ending that I'm not crazy about. I want a good, rich dessert to finish off our meal here. Don't want the cheap little Starlight Mint. But I do think that this last sentence could be something that you could morph into a really strong thesis statement. The benefit of typing your essay is that you're able to cut and paste and add in a good thesis at the end. So overall, I really like the arc of improvement I've seen throughout the semester, and your final exam grade is a 41 out of 50, which is a B minus. That's pretty darn good, Patrick. Thank you and keep up the great work.